Hola, muy buenos a todos. Vamos a continuar nuestra partida en Stories de Patch of Destinies. A ver si ahora sí podemos continuarla. Nos dejan continuar la partida.
It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
Venga, vamos a ir por la opción del
Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble given time, but he was out of time. Lapino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy, and that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lapino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lapino had apparently managed...
Espera, no sé, vamos a bajarle un poco. Vamos a ver, volumen de todo, no a la mitad. ¿Sí?
To confuse the judge by
sí,
arguing
perfecto.
that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait. Where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens?
Vale. Llevar nuestra espada. No, chimpa al mago, así. Chimpa al chetado. No, quito, así. Chimpa a este. No. ¿Cómo era esto para usar? Ya no me acuerdo. A ver, el control. ¿Cómo era? Joder, que no me acuerdo. A ver, un momento. Era con la Q. No sé si era con la Q. No, esto era para hablar de la vida, de la espada. Vale. Que me van a matar por no acordarme. Espera. A ver. La espada. Vale, exacto. Era el alt. Joder, es que estaba ya bien. Perfecto. Vale. Parecía a mí, joder. Adiós. Con la hostia aquí. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Ahora no tengo el gancho o qué? Hombre, pero acá.
People were frightened these days. Just 2 weeks passed. Renardo had
Mira si tengo algo aquí. No vayas a
listened to the Raven's call about the Emperor's new taste in ritual sacrifice.
La pina. Bueno, ¿qué puedo ir? Espera. Para aquí, entonces para aquí. Es el camino de siempre, pero no había ido yo por acá, es el principio de todo. Quizás me perdí algo aquí. Le gustaba mucho el sonido que hacía su espada en el aire, claro. ¿Cómo no? ¿Qué hay por aquí? Mira. Las espadas, a ver, podemos mejorar una que no tengamos mejorada seguramente. Aquí, la de fuego. Vale. Nivel 2. Tenemos resistencia física, hacer tesoros, energía, matar. Vale. Y un cofre. Unas cuantas cajas. Renardo destruye. Espera, ¿qué hay por aquí? Nada. Caminito. Vale.
Renardo thought of the Iblis stone and shivered. He had no business messing with ancient, cruel artifacts. What he needed was his friends around him. Clear eyes, full hearts. Can't lose.
A ver, hombre.
His mother
Vaya.
let him wave his sword.
Ahora no puedo romper esa caja.
He guessed you were still compensating for that.
Vale, es donde venía antes. No me dais nada, ¿no? Vale. Vale. La caja que nos rompe. Irrompible.
He smelt burnt fur. His. Ooh, sparkly, thought Renato.
Y al matar nivel 3. Vale, perfecto. Con el mineral aquí no podemos pasar. Vale. Vale. Es por donde vinimos antes. Si hay algo por este lado. Sí, hay más zona. Aquí hay un puentecillo que me sube. ¡Oh, cabrón! Eso os avisa. Un pozo, vale. Es para saltar, vale. Déjalo de momento. Saltar. Ah, bueno, no tengo puntos. Vale, falta un poquito. Para lo de los puntos. Ok.
I need more materials, thought Renato.
Vale, este es el cofre de antes. Ah, vale, y aquí está la puerta esta. Una palanquita.
What was behind that door? Renato's nose told him there was treasure there. They must have forgotten it in a hurry. Surely they wouldn't mind if he helped himself to it. After all, he wouldn't even know.
Vale, eso quiere decir que hay que ser rápido, ¿no? O ya no me deja opción. Ah, no, ahora sí.
Hoped his hook didn't break.
Ahí está. Energía. Caza tesoros nivel 3. Bien. Espera, a ver si puedo hacer por aquí algo. No, parece que no. Ok. Vámonos por este lado. Y al pozo, ¿no? Sí. Esto no hay nada para tirarse, ¿no? No. Parece que no. A darnos un poco de vida. Ahí está, ya que tenemos la energía.
Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lapino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lapino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest.
Vale. Vale, aquí hay una puerta que antes seguramente no fui. Parece que hay un cofre, ¿no? Sí. Vale. Espada, ahí está.
Maybe I should follow my nose, thought Renato.
Aquí hay un manuscrito. Estoy disfrutando de la academia, sí. Vale, otra nota para... Vale. Resistencia elemental, nivel 2. Ahí está.
When Renato went to the china shop, for some reason the owner was always nervous. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The Ravens are coming.
Sí. Ya sabemos que eres un traidor, pero bueno.
This guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power.
Vale, vamos a ir por aquí.
The Sky Ripper, the transcendent Emperor, had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Bernardo had already let that armature slip away to save Lapino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that. The core of the Sky Ripper? Lapino's excited. That's an actual thing that we can just go and get. You've been busy. He sure had. Renato told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend. True, the core was capable of terrible, uncontrollable destruction. But this time, he was sure it would work great.
Estupendamente, vale.
It's beautiful here, thought Renato. It was nice to be back with his old war buddy. All right. Lapino was a traitor. But still, It was good company.
El pozo. Vale. Aquí hay una puerta azul. Vale.
There was a pleasant breeze coming through that door. Had it been closed before?
Tesoros nivel 3. El ataque que tengo. Matar, energía al matar, rompedor de escudos, energía al matar. No. Vale, entonces ya lo vi. Seguramente. Hay un mago. No, vete por este. Vale, ok. No. Ahí mata este, no hay. Ahí. Ahí, joder, ahí.
He was in a swirl of newly remembered knowledge. He needed to focus.
Vale, es verdad que no puedo volver por aquí ahora. ¿Y esto? Velocidad de ataque, vale.
Trust a raven further than you could throw one. Vertical drop count.
Mierda. Los cuervos y el zorro lo he desbloqueado a mí, ¿eh? Volver para atrás. Bueno, sí, pero creo que no me sirve de nada, ¿no? Porque no voy a poder pasar de aquí, ¿no? No, vale. No me sirve de nada.
And this is why heroes are called dashing, Renato thought. See? Dashing? Get it? There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
Vale, la puerta de fuego. Aquí una zona que no puedo. aquí la zona esta. Vale. Por la puerta de fuego, aunque... Espera, no sé si fui por aquí antes.
So that's what they meant by a firewall.
No pienso.
What unlocks a firewall?
No me acuerdo si directo por aquí o por el otro. Igual fui por aquí.
You almost never saw wild gogglers together like this. The toads had to train them not to peck each other to death. So these had to be imperial gogglers. That meant ravens were up ahead. There was an inscription on the platform. Balaleka lessons with an address. I wonder what happens if I go that way.
Vale.
Renato felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds, if you didn't count the ravens. Renato smelled sick animals and dying ones, but no healthy ones. And getting a bad feeling about this, Renato thought. Maybe Lupina was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here. He felt like Tarzan.
Ahí. Este ataque nivel 3. Eso también es interesante, la verdad. Aunque lo tengo a nivel 3. Podría ponerlo.
The thing about puzzles was, once you solved one, you knew how to solve it again. Puzzles had no, what was the word? Replayability? Renato wondered if you could design a puzzle that would be different every time you played with it. Wouldn't that be fun? Renato really didn't want to become shawarma, or shish kebab for that matter.
¿Qué? Saltar, a ver. ¿Qué le meto para el tiempo? Lo tengo completo, combate. Gancho, tío. Venga. Gancho. Mierda. Ah, no me hagáis eso. No, no. Oh, 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 oh. No, 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 no. Ahora sí, hombre. Ahí está.
As he held the radiant icosahedron, Renato felt queasy, like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Renato ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Renato ached to be rid of it. Tell you what, said Lupino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost. The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Renato. But what if Lupino lost the core to the Empire? That could be a good thing, couldn't it? Was Renato ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself.
Venga.
Trust me, Renato, you won't regret this. I'll treat the core like it was my own baby daughter. As the Farfarer dived towards the Nexus, Lupino was jumping up and down with excitement. Stop rabbiting around, Renato said. Lupino just stared at him. The moment the ship landed, Lupino leapt off the ship. As Lupino vanished into the wilds of the Nexus, Renato vaguely remembered Lupino had a baby daughter, didn't he? And he told her mother he was going out to get some Easter eggs, and he'd never come back. But Renato was relieved not to carry the core anymore. He was already feeling better. And who knows, maybe this time Lupino would get it right. And if Renato could take the outpost, he'd have access to all the Empire's communications in this sector. Right? Somebody had been watching.
Vamos a darnos un poco de vida. Así, así, así. Venga.
Mother wasn't watching.
Todo está bien, pero... Ah, no, mierda. ¿Qué pasa? ¿No le jodí el gancho? ¿Qué? Sí, jódete, sí. Ahí me ha fastidiado la vista.
Renato caught his breath. His joints still hurt, but he couldn't feel the poison in his system anymore. He'd let the armature slip out of his hands to save his friend Lupino. Of course he had to let Lupino take the core. The rebellion needed every man doing his duty. And the rabbit would be no good taking on an Imperial outpost, right? What's behind door number 2?
Vale.
Everybody who wants to die, raise your weapon. All right.
Venga, ahí estás. No, vale.
The right jewel could really give you an edge. The wrong, well, it still looked pretty, didn't it? This is quite the view, he thought.
Menudas vistas. Resistencia física. Ataque. Sí, ponerme velocidad de ataque. Velocidad de ataque en vez de cazatesoros. Voy a ponerlo un rato, a ver qué tal va. Ahora desbloqueado, me quedo
Renato
sin
approached the
bolsillos.
outpost
Vale.
with a song in his heart. Soon, he was stuffing his sack with key messages from and to the fleet. Then the fire speaker toad chortled a new message. The observatory had been sacked by ravens. Lapino and all the scientists had been taken to the mountains. Why? Why had he trusted Lapino again? And now the Empire had the core.
Pello tenía.
Renato hailed the
Vale.
rebel base to warn them. But their far speaker didn't crouch back. Was the base under attack too?
Tenía que rescatar a la Pino. Algo pasaba en la base. Confío en la Pino con el Venga.
Who knew what
Vamos.
was going on at the base? But he knew what the Ravens would do to Lapino if Renato didn't rescue him fast. Well, actually, he wasn't exactly sure. It kind of depended on whether Lapino was a traitor or not. Renato just couldn't bring himself to believe that. What are old friends for, if not to need rescuing every few days? Renato felt a twinge of doubt. Should he have gone to the base? No. Logically, wherever they'd taken Lapino was probably where they took the core, right? Oh, why couldn't Lapino have just, for once, not got himself captured? Was that too much to ask? He shouldn't be too hard on the rabbit. No, he meant well, and he was insanely brave. You had to admire that.
Bueno, a ver, espera. No sé qué nada de esto. Muchos minerales. Muchos minerales y nada por aquí. Vale. Volvemos. Volvemos nosotros solitos. Bueno, a ver, no me deja romperlo. Vale, los combates no me dejan.
Oops. Thought, Renato?
La velocidad de ataque es buena. Ah. Vamos a meternos el azul otra vez aquí. Aunque...
Had that door been opened before?
Estaba abierto antes, pero como hay un camino de vuelta, aparentemente... Bueno, tienes que acercarte. Acércate, hombre. Uy. Vale. Esperamos poder volver ahora. Cosa de que aquí no, ya nada. Uf, ya casi que seguramente no. Bueno, pasa nada. bueno, sí, nos mando otra. Vale, vale. Perfecto. Olvidado.
If he ever had a castle, he was going to hide his stuff better.
Si una vez tenía un castillo, escondería mejor sus cosas. Vale. Batalla. Ahí estás.
Where were they holding Lapino anyway? There was no sign of him or the ravens who'd captured him. Just rocks and snow and the usual scouts. No sign of the core either. Was this a wild rabbit chase? Oh, trust Lapino to screw up even getting captured. But what was this rebellion for anyway? Well, Lapino was a useless goof, but he was a friend. If friends didn't matter anymore, what was the point of winning this war?
Se despierten. Vale.
How about a floating platform that simply just goes to the top?
No, no. Ah, que no me deja ver. Vaya. Poco me dan ahí. Pero los escudos, bueno.
Surprisingly unwounded.
Espérate. Ir por aquí, a por el cofre este, hombre. Así. Ya.
It wasn't his fault. They looked
Parecían
so
tan rompibles.
breakable.
cabrón.
Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it?
Uno de mineral. Podemos ir por aquí o ir por allá. No sé si fue... Bueno. Es que no me acuerdo, la verdad.
You never knew where the road would take you, thought Reynardo.
Querida Zenobia. Vale.
Can you guys actually tell each other apart? Because I'm thinking name tags.
¡Ey! ¡Mierda! No, a ver, hombre. No, 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 no. ¡Oh! Que se me gasta la energía. A ver, hombre. Encima este.
This was not going spectacularly well, thought
Los
Reynardo.
pelos.
Sensed the jewel's power. He had a feeling they were going to be great friends.
Vale, espera, déjame romper esto, hombre.
See? With enough leverage, you could go anywhere.
Sí, sí. Sí, bueno. Pensé que me había dado algo, pero no. Vale.
The rebellion would soon be engaging the Imperial fleet in a desperate battle. All Reynardo had done was save a friend. Didn't feel as good as he'd hoped.
¿Y esto? Cartas.
At the end of the mountain path, Renato came to a clearing. It was a campfire. Raven feathers and... oh, Lupino's lucky deck of cards. Well, that wasn't good. Renato hoped Lupino would not try to cheat his captors at cards. Ravens were much better than weasels at counting, and they had a very poor sense of humor.
Then, he saw what he had hoped never to see. Fresh scraps of rabbit fur. Ragged and bloody, ravens would eat anything.
By Crabthar's hammer! Renato screamed at the sky.
I will avenge you! The rebels had assembled their fleet. Ahead, the clouds were dark with Imperial ships. If he could reach the Emperor before the rest of the rebels did, maybe he could settle this without too much bloodshed. He set sail, and the Farfarer shot forward.
Muy bien.
Poor Lupino had never been a great warrior. The mad rabbit was good for a lark and a laugh. And a pint. The thought of ravens eating him made Renato furious. The way they were eating up the land. The way the Emperor was eating up the people with his new, bloodthirsty ways. He would make them all
Que
pay.
estos solteros me dan posibilidad de ataque crítico. Bueno, de momento vamos bien con esto. Creo yo.
Ah, the road less traveled, thought Renato. How intriguing.
No sé si ya viene por aquí, creo que sí, pero bueno. Vamos. No es la parte de abajo. Vale. Vale. Me vale. A ver, puntito. Vale, acometida. Vamos a ver acometida, venga.
Always wanted to do that.
Posibilidad de ataque crítico nivel 3. Bien. Vale, aquí no había nada. Bien.
He had given up every objective to save his friend. He had given up the armature, the core, the gem, and even Zenobia. He loved Lupino, he realized. Now the rabbit was gone. A hero looks out for his friends, even when they're gone. He would send Lupino an honor guard of ravens to serve him in the halls of the Valiant. He would avenge him.
Muérete, así me gusta, así.
Renato had always wanted a flying carpet. This was more like a flying tabletop. But it would do.
Ese fue el... Ahí te vas, cabroncete, venga, ahí. No te líes con ese, joder, que... Así, hombre. Recupera vida. Vale. Todo lo que puedes, así. No hay cajas ni nada por aquí. Vale, esto está cerrado. Sí, no hay que irse por aquí.
Finally, he reached the Emperor's ship. And there was Lapino, surrounded by ravens. He was alive.
Otro conejo.
They'd eaten some other rabbit. I'll save you! He shouted with joy and flung himself at the ravens. Oh, you shouldn't have, said Lapino when the last raven was down.
Renato threw his arms around his best friend.
I had to come. I love you, man. You really, really shouldn't have, said Lapino. And Renato felt a rather sharp pain in his
Bastante
back.
duro en la espalda.
As he collapsed, Lapino took the dagger out of Renato's back and wiped it off on Renato's sleeve.
Está.
Why?
Anda,
You
juega.
always have to be the hero. Brave Renato, epic Renato, super
Cierto.
sexy Renato. I'm sick of it.
As Renato died, all he could think was,
Damn it.
Engañado otra vez.
Again.
and he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
Nueva historia completada. Historia 3. El martillo de Directo. ¿Qué tipo de héroe eres? Un héroe que valora la amistad ante todo lo demás. Compensa 5 de esencia de viento. Muy bien. Que aún no has encontrado. Busca este icono cuando tomes decisiones en el libro. Bien, puede ser modificada en el menú de opciones. Vale. Tengo que ir por donde, vale. Pues a ver, vamos a echar otra partida. Hay que ir por esta. Claro, por donde la...
There would be a way to win. Renato could feel it. He'd have to explore choices he'd never made before he could figure it all out, though. And with that, the book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. And he fell.
The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Bernardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course,
Viejo amigo Lapino.
Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
A ver, espera, ver historias. Operación, espera. Pero, a ver, aquí no me pone ningún símbolo de eso. Tengo que... El núcleo de Sky Ripper es inestable. Vale, verdad. Vale, debería ir... Vale. Contra el templo. Vale.
The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters.
The Iblis Stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it.
And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting.
Vale. A ver si conseguimos
Every
la
child
siguiente,
could sing
¿verdad?
verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away.
Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Minerales, 96 minerales tengo.
Ooh, wouldn't this gauntlet look swell with that
Gemas,
jewel?
muchas gemas tengo. Vale, ataque crítico, no. Está bien. ¿Cuál tengo puesto? Velocidad de ataque. Vale. Me gusta la velocidad de ataque, la verdad. Por ahora.
What was he doing here? Last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul.
Mierda. No, no muere. Ahí estás. Vaya.
Really wasn't making a dent in those shields.
Quítate el escudo, hombre. Ahí estás tú. Joder, creo que me pego un
Clawing in
chupinazo.
frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. Ah, impatient.
¿Cómo estoy? Vale, me falta un poquito. Hasta el siguiente nivel, vale. Mierda.
Feels so close to you.
Ahí estás. Yeah. Vale, pero me voy a ir por el azul. Creo que... Yo creo que la otra vez no había ido por aquí. Al final. Estoy seguro. Dentro de la piedra, vale.
A road less traveled. This could be fun. If it wasn't fatal, that is. Within your aerobics trays. Am I right?
Vale. Uy, quieto, qué susto. Aquí no tengo sitio. No.
Already Renato knew more than he ever had. But about what?
ver, ¿cuál me queda? Me queda por esto, por ejemplo, ¿vale?
Now he could slice the wings off a fly in the air. Not that he would. It's sort of mean, really.
Solo me queda mejorar la de hielo. Vale. Sí, voy a usar un poco esto.
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people.
Tengo un puntito. Vale. A ver, ¿qué ponemos? Pala al enemigo. Bueno, bien. Más de prisa, aumentar la resistencia máxima. Está bien. Darle un
Come in
puntito a
handy
esto.
in a pinch. Death to traitors! Ordering.
Sí, señor. Que aumenta la velocidad. Está bien. Ya, ya.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously,
poco la
the temple
verde.
builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Oh, they really ought to put a railing on this thing, he thought.
Mierda, hombre. Me ha dado.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager. Thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once.
And he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him.
Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the Transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. It's the core, said the stone anxiously.
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Está el símbolo. Espera un momento, entonces. Pues sin ver el símbolo ese. Vale. Oye, coño, se puede usar la gema. Vale. Sangre y muerte para
Was he listening to a talking rock? Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old Toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the Transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed his souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls. Its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
A ver, uy, otro jarrón y rompería. Ay, no. A ver, pues parecía. ¿Qué es esto? Esto me suena a trampa. Abrir esta puerta. ¿Qué pasó ahí?
Welcome to Earth. Renato told the corpses. It was something he'd seen in a play once.
Por ahí.
This was the nice part of town. But the ravens had been through here. They like to take shiny things home to their nests.
on Zenobia's island were no match for Reynardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
Nada. No puedo hacer nada aquí ahora. A ver, ahí está la puerta roja. Uy, qué rollo. Vale. Cofre. Un ascensor, ¿no? Vamos a ir por aquí un momento. Se rompe.
Oh, look! Fracking.
Fracking. Bueno, porque ya son. Vamos por aquí.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he?
Se puede... o sí. No, hay una puerta ahí, pero no... posible pasar, ¿no? Vale. Aquí están todos muertos. Vale. Esperemos pero bien. Qué remedio. Al bajo. Cabrón, joder, como quita el tipo.
You can tell if someone's far away,
Como
but
te
it's
pega
really small.
con su mirada infalible. Mierda, me metí. Vale, ok, bueno. Vale. Nos lleva junto a Zenobia, ¿no? Sí.
Zenobia was waiting for Reynardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Vaya, se fue. Me gusta, espera. Tesoros irreales, logro desbloqueado, ¿vale? Easy.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it." "Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be?
A ver. Pegarla a la piedra, liberar a Zenobia. La piedra Ibis prometía que no podría cambiar esa.
Renato hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general, and the single person Renato least wanted to remove from this world, especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope, she was weaving a spell. He couldn't move. "This thing is evil," she said. She slid the Iblis stone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag. "Maybe we can learn from it." She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. "I missed you too." And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblis stone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace. And, after all, it was evil, wasn't it? Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Renato. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. Renato felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? You're a sucker for an empowered woman. Renato kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again.
That's my order, thought Renato. He was such a wit.
Pero no sé si... No, primero era esto. A ver, ¿no me devuelvo? Aquí no, vale. Todo lo que si paso por aquí, igual ya no puedo volver. Bueno, no sé. Ahora sí, que igual no puedo volver. Bueno, venga, da igual. Sube, hombre, sube. Sí, hombre, sí. A ver, hombre, rómpete. Ahí está.
Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it? Well, yes, but he still longed to have it back. He'd felt so good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil? And while he was trying to recover the stone Zenobia had taken from him, the Imperial fleet was tightening its grip. He might fail to save the rebellion, and it would all be her fault. Renato felt a burst of outrage. Not only had she stolen his gem, she'd also stolen his scientists. Sure, they were neutral, but they had helped him discover what the Emperor was up to. They were supposed to be helping me, Renato thought. So unfair. Energy spheres. Easy to dodge, but boy do they sting if you didn't pay attention.
Bueno. This would be the perfect place for a tic-tac-toe board.
scientist toads were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections.
Mine, said Renato as he took back the stone.
Well, we need it for science, croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too. I thought you'd never come for me, whispered the stone.
Then, a far speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
Renato, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. Will kill everyone you love.
That did seem vaguely familiar. But Renato had an army to lead, an empire to bring down.
Mata al telépata y guía a los rebeldes a la victoria. Es que me falta esta. Falta una de estas historias. La 7 de 11. Vale, voy a meterme por
I
esta.
know you can fight this thing.
Zenobia continued in the far speaker's croak.
You let me live. You know how evil it is. It will destroy you, Renato. It will destroy everything you love.
He had tried to convince himself that this time he would control the Iblis stone. But he could feel his will becoming brittle.
She was right. He would get rid of it. Right? Now. Or now. He didn't really want to. I know. I'll go to the mountains, Renato thought. I'll find the strength to do it in the peace and quiet there.
Vale. Perfecto.
As the Farfarer landed at the foot of the mountains, Renato was surprised to find Lapino there. What are you doing here?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I was stowed away on an Imperial courier ship, dressed up as a combat nurse carrying a general's beak transplant.
This is not a great time, said Renato, who was pretty sure he did not, in fact, believe Lapino's story.
That's when you need your friends,
said Lapino. I just need some peace and quiet, said Renato, and grimly set out on the path.
Vale, vamos. Vale, otra vez aquí. Exacto. A ver lo que hay aquí.
Let's just keep this between us, if you don't mind.
Mineral. ¿Lo crees tú? Venga, hombre.
Done beautifully. Where was a bard when you needed him?
Esto. Debe haber un cofre, ¿no? Aquí, creo. Creo. ¿O no? Por aquí no me puedo meter, me parece. ¿No? No. Voy a ir por el ascensor. Exacto.
These platforms were great. Renato wanted one for his house. Renato told his friend how he had slaughtered the toads and how he had nearly slain Zenobia. A terrible burden, this Iblis stone. Sympathized the rabbit. Yeah,
¿Qué haces tú aquí, conejo?
but I need it. For the rebellion. Do you now? You know, you were a pretty fine fighter before you were wielding a demonic decoration. Oddly, the sword wasn't whispering at him to kill the Pino. Up ahead in the mountains, there was a peaceful spot. If he could rid himself of his burden anywhere, it was there. Good! And anything rub for the nest, said the lead raven.
Perfecto.
Renato was spending a lot of time in this place.
Pues ir
He
por
caught
aquí.
himself thinking about redecorating it. Or at least, couldn't he leave a toothbrush or something?
aquí. No, es por donde vine. No puedo. ¡Ay! Vaya, mierda. Se me pasó un cristalito de esos. Tal. Normalmente no dan nada. Tampoco va. A veces dan algo, pero... No, mira, esto no me dieron nada. Bueno, energía y vida que ya estoy a tope. Vamos a ir otra vez por ahí. Espérate. Venga. Se está
This was
repitiendo un poco,
definitely
pero...
better than pulling yourself up in a bucket.
Bueno, esto es lo mismo de siempre, ¿no? Sí. Que no lo leo, pero a ver. Joder, venga. Lo que me ha hecho ahí, que lío. ¡Oh! Estoy en las últimas. No, no. Uf. Casi me revientan. Por poquito.
Give me a lever, said Archimedes, and I shall open a gate. Renato thought it would make a difference, snatching the Iblastone before the Emperor could get it. And it would destroy him. Zenobia and Lupino, they were both trying to save him. Peace. That was what he needed.
Vamos a ver, ahora... Aumenta las distancias de chute y tiro. Voy a dar más salud, venga.
So much for peace and quiet. There was Lapino. Again. You're stronger than some dumb rock, Lapino said. Let's just bury it, and no one will ever find it again. Renato could feel the spirit energy of all those dead ravens inside him, pecking away. The rabbit was right. Even if the rabbit was a traitor, he was still right. He tore the Iblis stone from his gauntlet and threw it into the hole Lapino had dug. The stone was silent, probably sulking. Now whoop those Imperials, said Lapino. Are you coming? Ah, no, I can't come with you. It's my old injury. Recently, it's been acting up terrible. I'd be no use to you at all. So Renato boarded the Farfarer alone. Renato felt lonely on board the Farfarer. How could his old friend Lapino, miraculously escaped from the Empire, leave him to face the final battle alone? Well, he'd abandoned Lapino before, hadn't he? It was only fair. And of course he felt lonely. He'd given up the Iblis stone and all the souls he fed it. Of course he felt alone. But he had done the right thing. It had been hard to do, but there was no better feeling than that. Zenobia would be so proud of him. The battle, alas, was not going well. He no longer had the stone, and he'd never gotten the core. Lapino wasn't with him, and he was up against Zenobia, out there somewhere, maneuvering the Emperor's forces. The rebels had been outnumbered from the start, and he still had that aching longing for the stone. But that is what it means to be a hero. He would fight his way to Zenobia. He would show her what he was capable of. Just him, with no diabolic accoutrements. He would win, no matter the odds.
Direttamente.
The portal was heavily guarded. It must go someplace they really didn't want him to go.
Around the room yelling, oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
how we do
yeah.
It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses.
Rompí el estandarte. Bueno, ¿qué pasa? No he salido.
It was a bit windy up here.
A ver, la espadita.
Renata remembered when the Emperor had first come to the throne. He built universities and libraries. He used to invite scientists to dinner. What could have made that toad so afraid of death that he would risk bringing back the lost gods?
Bueno. Pero un momento, ¿dónde crees que...? No llego, espérate. ¿Cómo se supone que salgo de aquí? Tengo que irme otra vez para allá. Vale. Bueno, espera. Seguro que es por aquí. Que se ha bugueado. No me jodas. No puedo salir ahora de aquí. Para estos no. ¡Ay! No puedo salir de aquí. Esto sí que... Es que no... A ver. Esto de aquí se pone otra vez el barco, ¿no? Ahí no puedo ir. Vaya bugueada, ¿no? Haber llegado ahí es imposible. Qué bugueadice, no sé. Voy a tener que salir. No es posible. Salto, dejo que me mate esta cosa. Que tampoco me la ha matado. Ahí no me engancho. No. Qué putada. A ver, si le voy a continuar ahora donde me empieza. Que se la coña. Acá, vale. Bueno, por lo menos me empieza aquí, ¿no?
The battle, alas, was not going well. He no longer had the stone, and he'd never gotten the core.
Lapina wasn't with him, and he was up against Zenobia, out there somewhere, maneuvering the Emperor's forces. The rebels had been outnumbered from the start, and he still had that aching longing for the stone. But that is what it means to be a hero. He would fight his way to Zenobia. He would show her what he was capable of. Just him, with no diabolic accoutrements. He would win, no matter the odds.
Pero ahora si no se buguea.
A portal led right into the middle of the fleet. It was a glaring weakness in the defense.
Esperemos a ver que no se buguee.
This thing really needed a roof.
Que antes me fui por aquí. Voy a pasar de ir por ahí, voy por aquí. Venga.
The Emperor! Caught the ravens!
Yes, that was it. Pirouette, slash, parry, dodge. Renato had never done such good work in a fight. He wished the poets were along to sing of his exploits for his old age. Maybe he wouldn't have to kill Zenobia. Maybe he could defeat her and take her prisoner. Then he could turn the tide against the Emperor. If she wasn't crowned princess, once this was all over, she'd have more time for him, right?
Right?
soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
Vamos allá.
By some miracle, Renato fought his way to the Emperor's ship. He was exhausted, bleeding, but he'd found the strength to reject the stone. Zenobia came out of the ship. "Renato!" she shouted, and then she fell down and died. Lapino was behind her, wielding a sword that seemed to suck all the light out of the sun. "You idiot! You threw the stone away!" cried Lapino. "You said it was evil." "It hates sanctimonious prigs like you," laughed Lapino. "We're having a grand old time." Renato turned and ran. But no matter where he ran, Lapino jumped in front of him until Renato was cornered. That boy could hop. "You wouldn't do this to an old friend, would you?" cried Renato. "You mean this?" said Lapino as he slid the sword into Renato's guts. "Damn it! Again!" He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up, like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
Vaya, pues me falta alguna historia de estas y no sé. Bueno, creo que lo vamos a dejar por aquí de momento. Hasta la siguiente. Venga, peña. Chao, chao.